Hey, all right, we are now live. Welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts, episode 486, the another episode where we battle Google's two-factor authentication just to go live on YouTube. So we are finally live, we are streaming, and we are going to get to your SEO questions in a minute. We've got a couple of questions, a couple of announcements, a couple of things we want to get to, but first and foremost, going to say hello to everybody and then jump into it. Also, gonna drag this out a little bit. If you're watching the replay, you might want to skip ahead, but I know with people being live, they're probably gonna have to redirect a time or two to get to this. And for that, we apologize, but we'll get to your questions and all the good stuff. So Chris, how you doing today?
Doing super good here. Busy working. Got a couple things piping in the pipeline for local theory, so super excited about that as well. And yeah,
Nice.
busy.
All right. Well, I just checked. I see Bradley's got the redirect done, so people are watching and we're live on YouTube. So, Bradley, besides dealing with Google and YouTube issues, how are you doing today?
Good, frustrated because that was some real bullshit. This whole two-factor authentication stuff I've complained about before because I feel like I waste so much damn time throughout the day signing in and re-signing into stuff, and it just drives me up a wall. And then lately, the whatever we stream every single week, and we go through the exact same sign-in process through this. You'd think that there would be some sort of a like a familiarity with the Google account that would allow it. But yet, for whatever reason, the two-factor authentication has not been working. It just drives me nuts because now we're delayed because of it. But anyway, I'm here and we've got a ton of questions today, so let's do it.
Well, we also got a couple of announcements. Bradley, you're going to be speaking at SEO Spring Training, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
So that is, if I got the dates right, it's April. I know there's like some private stuff or some VIP stuff, but it's roughly April 4th to 7th in Scottsdale, Arizona, correct?
That sounds correct.
Cool. Well, we have got a link for people, and I believe too they give you a code so people can get $300 off tickets, and I believe there's still a few tickets left, is what we heard yesterday. And I know it's only about a month away, but there might be some people out there who want to go or go check it out. So I'm just going to pop the link into the chat, and then yeah, what are you going to be discussing at SEO training, and like what are you looking forward to doing there?
Well, learning, of course. Every time I go to these events, I go there to learn every bit as much as everyone else that attends. So I always love to go and hear what others are doing, and it always and in networks certainly with people because I found, and I'm sure people have heard this before, but a lot of the times you get more value just from the discussions with other attendees and things like that than you do even from the speakers. And not only that, but there's usually a lot of business potential that can be, businesses can be created from just networking with others. We've done that ourselves. So I think, the networking, certainly learning from others, a lot of really highly respected people that I respect are going to be there and speaking and contributing and all of that. So that'll be fun. And then also, I'm going to be there for 8 days in Scottsdale. I'm not actually staying at the hotel, even though they comped my room. I'm driving in my RV out there. It's going to take it's going to take a week to get out there because I'm going to drive for a day and then stay in a campground for 2 days and then drive for a day and stay so that way I can work for 2 days. And so I'm going to go out and spend 8 days in Scottsdale at a campground that's like 9 miles away from the event venue. So I'll be there for the whole week anyway. I think it'll be cool just to be there and get to know people and meet some of the attendees and all that kind of stuff. But if anybody in our audience is planning on going, make sure you reach out to me because I'm sure I'm going to create some sort of a little breakout meeting session at some point for any of our members that want to join me for just kind of a private event or something like that. We'll talk about that if anybody reaches out. But if anybody's planning on going, let me know, and we can certainly meet up at some point.
Nice. All right. And then a couple other quick ones. Bradley sells services on Vetted. That's VETTTED.com, but there's lots of other good services. So we don't get any kickback for this, but we do have a code that'll get you 5% off anything, including Bradley services. You can use the code Semantic at Vetted. That's VETTT, that's three T's, ED.com. And then last but not least, I know we've got a couple other things, but you hear us talking about the directory hybrid agency training. We do have the quick survey just to let us know if you're interested in being kind of the first to know about that. We will be contacting the people that filled this out and expressed interest to hop on a short call and explain in more details before we go. It's not a sales call. It's not a pitch webinar. It's just going to be going into details about what the program is, how it's going to work, and you're going to get first chance at one of the 10 spots. So if you're interested in that, you can fill that out. It's smshort.link/DHA survey, and I will post that link in there as well. And then as well, you know, anyone who joins that is going to be in the mastermind. But if you're looking at joining the mastermind, now would be a great time to do that if you're looking to take your local SEO agency or consulting to the next level, regardless of what you want to do with DHA training or not. And other than that, I would say I'm going to steal Chris's thunder and say if you're watching us and you haven't watched us before, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the reminder button so you get notifications about Hump Day Hangouts. We also take the whole Hump Day Hangout hour and we chop it up into the questions that are asked. And how do you ask questions? Well, the best way is to go to semanticmastery.com/HD questions and ask them ahead of time. But we also get it. You can't always join us live. People have calls, client business, whatever, kids need picking up. But if you can join us live, we love having you here and we love the interaction. So with that said, guys, anything else before we jump into questions? Cool.
No, let's do it, man.
All right, let's go for it.
We got a ton of questions. So, all right, let me grab the screen. All right, right on. Real quick before we jump into that, I do want to point out something. I keep talking about this, guys, because if you guys aren't in the mastermind so that you can get this site template, and look, if you're not in the mastermind, you can copy this site template by just analyzing it and then building it yourself if you want. Fine. If you want the template, come join the mastermind. We've got it in WordPress format. We've also got it in high-level format, and these sites are deployed via form input. They're super, super easy to deploy once you get the hang of it. Anyway, why I bring this up is because I keep talking about this every week because so far I've still not built any links to these assets. I did a couple of tier 2 links to this one because I had an ID page and the premium directory listing on the treecarehq.com directory, and then I did some link building to those 2 tier 1 links, and that's it. And I'm going to show you guys the performance of these sites because again, it's the site structure that makes these perform well before even hitting them with links. These sites are crushing it. I'm specifically not or intentionally not building links to these for a reason because I want to see how well they're going to perform in search before I really start to hit them with topical and geographic links. And so I've been waiting intentionally to see how far these sites are going to perform, like rise up in the search results before they need to start building links to achieve to continue improving. And so for this one, again, this is a very non-competitive area, guys. I get it, but it's the point that this site is the point that I'm trying to make here with this site, even though it's in a non-competitive area, is again showing the performance of this structure. This site has no links built to it. It has an ID page, and then to the ID page, there was some links built through Citation Vault, and that's it. And this one here, again, low competition. But guys, look at this. Out of 96 keywords, which is really 48 keywords in desktop and mobile, so it looks like 96. But 81 of them are in the top 3 position. Look at that. 95 out of 96 are in the top 5. Look at this, guys. Like, it's insane. And again, go look at the backlink profile if you don't believe me. There's no links built to this. There's, I think, 2, and that's it. And one of them, only one of them had links built to that. So again, this is just showing you the way these site structures perform, and you can see it does some dancing. This is normal, especially for the new site, especially when a site's built on high-level websites, which is what this is. They tend to bounce in and out of the index for the first few weeks. Here's another one, a little bit, certainly more competitive. Berkeley Felling Pro. This is for Berkeley County, West Virginia, Martinsburg being the big area there. You can see once again, this looks like it was improving, but that was just stuff dropping out of the index. And then I got it re-indexed. And so you see that it popped. And then again, guys, all I've done was 2 tier 1 links. And then I did some tier 2 link building. And that's it. Go check it if you don't believe me. And take a look at this. Look at the green. Guys, this is like, it's insane how much this site is still improving with no links because it's just the site structure itself that performs well. So I've just point that out, guys, because once this kind of finally stabilizes and doesn't continue to show improvement like it has been recently, then I'm going to start hitting it with some links and see what else I can do with it. But I just want to point this out, guys. I'm telling you this. I spent about 2 years, like not steady 2 years of testing, but over the course of 2 years, I did multiple cycles of testing, different site structures, different configurations of SEO title H1, first H2, all topic and category optimization methods or techniques, all the stuff that I've been teaching about for the last 2 years. And I did that multiple times with different in a couple of industries, but mostly in the tree service industry, and tested a whole bunch of different site structures. And this particular site structure that I've now duplicated for these two projects has consistently outperformed all other structures. And so I finally built this for like a really optimized template for our members to be able to use, because I'm telling you, by far, this is the best kind of site structure that I've ever used for local SEO. So I would encourage you guys to check it out. Like I said, if you don't want to join the mastermind and get the templates and all that, fine. Just go study those sites and build it yourself then. Okay, model it because it works. Anyway, moving on. All right, so we got a ton of questions, guys. I'm going to try to roll through as many of these as possible, but we did get a late start, so I apologize for that. We're going to start with Keith. He says, hey, guys, what are your thoughts on creating pages targeting alternatives for our agency competitors as a way to bring more leads to our own SEO agencies? What are some good ways to bring consistent leads we can use to scale? Okay, well, a couple of things. Number one, Keith, yeah, you can do that. I've been for, I don't know, 2 years or so, maybe 2.5, something like that. I've been doing Google Ads campaigns on competitor names, so that we can poach leads from competitors, that when people do a brand search for a competitor, we can pop up above their own website. Because again, unless a company is bidding on their own brand name in Google Ads, you can literally outrank them because you're in the ad section. If somebody's to do a brand search, in other words, you can bid on brand names. You can't use other people's brand names in your SEO, or excuse me, your ad headline or ad text, because that's trademark infringement. But you can bid on their brand names so that you can get your ad to show. You just can't use their brand in the headline or the ad text, the ad copy. If that makes sense. So we've been running branding campaigns, competitor brand campaigns for many tree service contractors for the last few years, because it works. We just go, again, you can use like a Google Maps scraper, or you can use your local search grid reports or whatever, like in Bright Local's local search grid, but any kind of those kind of maps, ranking reports or whatever, and extract the top ranked competitor names in that particular location or area, and then do a bidding campaign on their brand names in Google Ads. Because again, guys, look, if a company is bidding on their own brand name in Google Ads, you're not going to outrank them. Google will always place their ad above yours. But if they're not bidding on their brand name, then somebody can do a brand search for a company because they want to go hire Iron Tree Service, for example. And so they go do a search for Iron Tree Service, and sure enough, your ad pops up above them. Because, and again, it would just say need tree service in whatever city, contact, blah, blah, blah. It wouldn't say Iron Tree Service. I'm just using that as an example. But yes, it is a good strategy. Now, doing it on an SEO basis, I've not done that because I haven't really thought of a way to optimize and rank for competitor brand names without putting content on a money site. Or it could be a parasite or barnacle SEO, right, where you can do it on an external assets, etc., without like optimizing something for the company's name. And then I always felt like it would be a kind of an odd transition to optimize and rank something for some other company name, and then try to transition them into, but don't use them, use us instead. So I've not actually tested or tried or attempted that method of what it is that you might be mentioning here, other than what I just described, doing it via Google Ads, which is easy because then you're not trying to convince anybody of anything. You're just literally poaching traffic from branded search queries. That's it. So remember, guys, especially in the home services industry, and it's probably like this for all industries, but in the home services industry, a lot of times what consumers do is they go search for a generic search query: tree service near me, tree removal company in my area, etc. Right? They'll search for stuff like that, and then they'll identify the companies that they're considering calling to request an estimate. And then once they've identified from that generic search query a few potential candidates to contact to request an estimate, then a lot of the times those consumers will go do a brand search afterwards to see, well, what are other people saying before I call them, before I go through this process? Let me see what others are saying online about them. And so that's where, again, you can poach leads very easily from competitors that way. And because unless the competitors are bidding on their own keywords, you can outrank them. And then it's just normal ad text copy. Like, hey, looking for tree service in, and say the city name, blah, 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 contact us, and whatever. If they click on that, now it's going to go to a landing page that's dedicated for your business, not for theirs. But if it satisfies the search query, why not? Like, so anyway, that's one way to do it. But the other thing that I want to recommend, Keith, is, again, we've got a company that I've been using for my own agency to generate leads via, it's an appointment setting company. They were called Eagle Info Services, but apparently they're just rebranding to, oh shit, I don't even remember the name now. I just had a call with him earlier today, but they just rebranded, but it was Eagle Info Services. And so I've got a really good company that does outreach for and generating leads for my white label services. So for my agent, one of my agencies, and they've been doing a phenomenal job. I'm working in next month, it will be 2 years that I will have been working with that company. And all I do is ever paid for booked companies, or excuse me, booked appointments that show up. If they don't show up, I don't pay for it. So I paid a setup fee for them to do this, and then I pay per booked appointment that shows up. And it's not cheap. It's expensive, but it provides a return on investment. So what I found is, again, like, if you want a consistent pipeline or a consistent stream of leads to fill your pipeline for agency, I would consider some of what we just described, as well as also potentially hiring an appointment setting company that's their sole purpose in life. Because, again, as an agency owner and as a coach of many other local SEO consultants and agencies, and etc., I can tell you that this is a common problem for most people in our industry, or most agencies, especially small agencies. They go through the kind of feast and famine cycles, because they get into this process, the mode where, hey, we've got to prospect and bring leads into our agency. We need new revenue. We need to bring some new clients into our agency. So you start up the prospecting machine and you start generating some leads. And then once you have enough leads in the pipeline, you stop prospecting and then work those leads. And then you might make a few sales, right? Close a few of those leads into clients. And then you go to fulfillment mode and you start doing the fulfillment services and managing that. And then once all of that has got to a point where it's kind of stable and it's almost on autopilot, which normally happens after the first couple of months or whatever, or first few months, then it's like, oh shit, now we've got to generate new revenue again. Let's fire up and remember, we got to start this whole process over again. All of that takes inertia. Guys, it's like, think about, like, if a locomotive a freight train is on a train tracks and it's stopped. It's 100% standstill, stationary. Think about how much force and energy it takes to get that train to start moving. Once it's moving, it requires very little energy, very little force to keep it moving. But it takes an enormous amount of force, an enormous amount of pressure to get that train to start moving. And so that's just like the same thing with prospecting, guys. And I know this from my own agency, guys. I went through feast and famine cycles for many years, but it wasn't until I finally realized, like, hey, you have to keep a steady stream of consistent leads coming into your agency, or else you're going to go through those cycles, right? Peaks and valleys, feast and famine, etc. And I experienced it myself. And I know from coaching a lot of local SEOs that that's the same thing that they go through on a regular basis. So how do you eliminate that? Well, number one, you could build your own prospecting and sales and marketing machine, which is what the directory process is 100% about, because that's something that I've used in my own agency for 3 or 4 years now to develop leads, or to generate leads for my local SEO agency. But then also hiring a company that's their sole purpose in life, is to just generate leads and appointments, etc. Because now it's getting done. It's not upon you, right? Guys, understand, like, if you're an agency owner, consultant, whatever, we wear a lot of different hats, right? We have to do marketing, sales, product development, research and development. We have to do customer support sometimes, operations. We have all these things that we have to do. Plus, we have to learn what's working, what's not working, all that stuff. So it's hard to be consistent, especially with lead gen, because if we have some leads, right, if we've got some leads to work, then why? It's okay if we skip today's prospecting. It's okay if we skip tomorrow's prospecting, right? We make excuses and justify, oh, I've got too many orders to fulfill. I've got too many support tickets to respond to, right? So I'm not going to prospect today. I'll push that off. But then you get to a point where, boom, all of a sudden you need new revenue. And then it's back to that stationary locomotive and how much energy it takes to get it moving, etc. So it's that feast and famine cycle, that never ending hamster wheel, a dog chasing its tail, right? That's exactly what happens with most agencies that we talk to anyway. So number one, outsource it so that you know it's getting done, whether you have any input or not. Number two, build some automated prospecting and sales or marketing machines that are going to generate leads for your agency. The directory process that we teach, Semantic Mastery, is precisely for that reason. If you're in a specific industry, or if you're a local business marketing agency, which means you only deal with companies in a particular local area, you could create a local business directory that would be a general business directory. I still find that harder to get traction with than being niche specific, though. But anyway, hopefully that's clear. You've got brand campaigns that you can do via Google Ads, which I think is a great strategy. You can also hire an appointment setting company that's all they do is generate leads. I highly recommend that, and I can provide you with a very good referral in case you need a company to do that. And then you can also, like I said, set up something like a directory that would help you to generate consistent number of inbound leads. Well, initially it's outbound, but eventually if the directory ranks and you start to build a brand around that directory, then you'll start to receive inbound leads like I do for Tree Care HQ. Hopefully that's clear. So between like those three methods, that's how we generate leads for my various agencies. It's a great question. Josh says, "Hey guys, would you recommend trying to rank for SEO keywords in other English-speaking countries, which you're not based in, but can provide services to like SEO, etc.? Do you think it would be a turnoff for potential clients that you don't have a physical presence there?" I don't know. I'm Josh. I don't think so. I mean, there's some businesses that just want to deal with local people, and that's fine. And I completely understand that, by the way. But a lot of the times they don't care. Like from what I found, most street guys don't give a shit whether I live anywhere near them physically or not. They don't care as long as I can produce leads for their business. They don't care, right? So, you can try it. I don't see why not. I mean, I wouldn't spend a ton of time on it. One of the ways that you can test that very quickly without trying to spend a lot of resources, time, energy, money, etc., would be to do stuff like set up Google Ad in a particular area that would be outside of what you would call I guess local or within your geographic area or whatever, because then like here's the point that I'm trying to make. You could test whether you could convert leads generated outside of your area by running ads and then generating some leads and trying to make a sale, right? And communicating with them and determining and just testing it that way. Instead of with SEO, if you have some low hanging fruit keywords that you can, rank something for very quickly, then go that route. So you're not spending money. But let's be honest, guys, unless you're targeting very low competition keywords, it's unlikely that you're going to rank anything overnight. So it's likely going to take you a lot, considerable effort, time, perhaps money, etc., to get something to rank. I don't know, because I don't know what areas you're targeting, but I'm just saying, don't spend a ton of time to test a theory like that, because you could spend weeks or months trying to optimize to rank something just to find out it's not going to work. That's where, again, Google Ads comes in. I'm not great with Google Ads, but there are times when Google Ads are, there's a good reason to use them, such as this. You could spend a little bit of money and generate some leads that you could then communicate with and try to determine, is it something that you can close a sale for, and prove that out a lot quicker than perhaps spending weeks or months and a lot of time trying to optimize something that may end up ranking, but when you find out once it ranks that you can't close any sales or whatever, it doesn't produce for you. Does that make sense? That's all I'm trying to say. Is it worth testing? Sure. Would I spend a lot of time optimizing content and or assets or whatever and trying to rank all of them? Likely no. Because what I would do is stick to the areas that I know I can convert in. But again, it's worth testing. So that's why I'm just trying to give you some ideas here. Hopefully that's clear. Hugo says, if you had little money, what would you do in the fastest way possible to secure a decent SEO client on a retainer like a law firm or an auto shop? Have reviews to show for other clients, but not the best at sales. Well, not the best at sales. The only way you're going to get better at sales, Hugo, is to just do more of it. Unfortunately, that's the only way to get better at sales is to do more of it. Seriously. And so the only way to do more sales is to book more appointments. The only way to book more appointments is to do more prospecting, marketing, and lead generation, right? So again, all back to what the first question was about: developing a consistent lead source to bring interested contacts into your atmosphere, right? Your environment, into your pipeline, right? The only way, and then again, you generate leads first, and then you book the appointments, and then you get on sales calls. And the only way to book more sales calls, generate more leads, right? And the only way to get better at sales is to do more sales calls. So first generate the leads, then book more calls, right? More appointments, and then attempt more sales calls. And over time, you'll get better. That's the only way to get better. You can study books, videos, programs, etc., and that will help to speed your ability to get better at sales. But studying is not going to make you better. It can speed up your ability to improve. It can increase the speed with which you improve your sales, process, etc. But it's not going to make you better at sales. What makes you better at sales is practice, repetition, which means book more calls. So to get back to your question, if I had little money, what would I do? Well, I've talked about this in our mastermind. There's even public videos on our YouTube channel about how to do that. Number one, if you've got case studies, testimonials, and results that you've done for other companies that you can point to, then why not use that, right? So, for example, you can go target an area, for example, and find an area with low competition that you can go rank some assets for. You can do it with YouTube. It's getting harder because YouTube is making it a lot harder to create new accounts, but you could do stuff with like Peter Drew's Live Rank Sniper, where you could go out, or you could do it with Web 2.0 assets, but you can do it with YouTube and Web 2 assets. You could go out and find areas that you can rank for, even potentially longer tail terms, not stuff that isn't relevant or isn't important, but stuff that you could rank for. Again, Web 2s, YouTube videos, things like that that'll rank fairly quickly for lower competition type keywords. And then use that once they're ranking, compile kind of like a little case study out of that. You can create a single page landing page that just shows some of those results. And then you start doing outreach to companies that provide those services in that specific area and show them. And you can start doing email outreach. You can also follow it up with cold calls, etc., SMS text messages, all that kind of stuff. Know what the appropriate regulations are for that kind of cold outreach and everything. Again, we teach a lot of this stuff in the mastermind, but then you could go reach out to companies in that area and point to the results that are already there. Even if they're not results that are going to produce a lot of leads or anything like that, the point is you can show them, hey, look, I know how to get results for your products or services in your specific area. Let's have a talk. Right. And then just point to that. And again, you can do that via cold outreach. So cold email, SMS, cold calling, etc. Right. So that's one way that you can do it is, again, just go rank something, and on the landing page where you show the results that are, if you do it on a landing page, you don't have to build a landing page. Don't overcomplicate shit. You could just draft an email and then just do straight up cold email where you don't even send them to a landing page. I'm not trying to overcomplicate things, guys. Don't overcomplicate this stuff. Just create some assets, get them ranked, create a scraped list of companies that provide those services in that specific area, and then you can approach them with, whether it's a landing page or just direct through email or whatever, and point it out to them. Like, hey, look, this is what we were able to do for your products or services in your area, or the products or services that you provide in the same area that you provide them. And look, here's some examples of other clients or other companies that we provided results for. So you can show case studies on that same landing page or in the message, however you get that message to them. And again, don't be overly salesy. I figured out that you don't have to be. You just show people what you can do, and then you say, look, let's have a conversation. If you're interested, let's have a talk. Don't try to be pushy about it or anything else. At least in the industries I work in, I don't have to be pushy anymore, right? You just, this is what we can do. If that seems like it would be valuable to you, let's have a talk. It's no hard sales tactics. It's just a conversation to see if it's a good fit to work together. That's it. And I say that. I swear to God, in my video emails, I say that all the time. Look, if this seems like something you're interested in, it could help your business, let's have a conversation. It's no hard sales tactics. It's just a conversation to see if it makes sense for us to work together. Either reply back to me via email, call me, text me, or complete the calendar. Book an appointment with me on my calendar below, because I usually send them to a landing page. And that's it. And if they're interested, with Tree Guys, they almost always either call or text. It's very rarely that I get an appointment booking through my calendar app and all of that with Tree Guys. So they just want to call or text, and then boom, get them on the phone, and we start to have a conversation with them. And through that conversation, what I call a discovery call, we identify what they need specifically, and then we offer them one of the products or services or packages that we have that would fit their needs, which is why I call the directory hybrid agency the directory hybrid agency, because depending on what that conversation, what I learned through that discovery process and that initial conversation is I can identify what is most appropriate for them at that time. Is it doing full-on retainer-based SEO services where I'm building up their brand, or is it that they just need leads right now immediately, and so I might be able to just sell them leads, pay per lead, or revenue share, or even rank and rent, which again, if you've already developed some assets that are ranking in a particular area, you can use that as kind of an initial like offering. So again, it's the directory hybrid agency model is about being able to provide the contact, being able to monetize the contact in any which way through a either lead gen or retainer or both, hence the name hybrid, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what I would do, is precisely what I've been teaching for the last few years. Another thing is build a directory, a niche specific directory, because then that is what we use specifically to do outreach to contractors and initiate conversation. And I could show you, like, I mean, recently we've really started ramping up our cold email outreach, and we're getting 3, 5, 6, 7 leads, inbound leads per day. Or when I say inbound leads, meaning we're doing outbound outreach, we're doing cold outreach, and then they reply back. But that when they reply back, that brings them into our funnel, and then we proceed with communicating with them via email, SMS, and even phone calls. And like I said, we're getting on average, 3 to 5 responses per day right now from our cold outreach, just from the directory process alone. So that I'm just bringing that up because, again, back to you, if you don't have a lot of money, building a directory is inexpensive. It's just time consuming, but we have full SOPs for how to do it. Once you build a directory, then it's cold outreach. That, by the way, has been the hardest part is the email stuff. But I finally, just in the last 24 hours, I think I finally got this shit resolved for real. After months and months and months of trying to get the email stuff to work better. So I'm going to be talking about that in our mastermind over the next week or so, once we've proven out that the fix that I finally figured out really does work. It seems to be today. So we'll find out. But like I said, a director is a really good process for that, guys, because again, it's very inexpensive to build and manage. Other than time, but we have full SOPs for that. And then that becomes an asset that you first use for outbound prospecting, but eventually it brings inbound leads in, which is why I think it's such a powerful strategy. They're very inexpensive, and it's an asset that you build that has value for you, right? That was a good question. Roy says, hey, Riley, in the Hump Day Hangout last week, you mentioned that the way you set up a lead gen website structure these days is that you set up internal linking from every page to every other page, if it's done properly, Roy. So yes, I did say that, but it's got to be done properly, or else it doesn't perform as well. What about blog posts? No, blog posts are different. Blog posts are supporting content, so that's different. I'm talking about top level pages. So blog posts are totally different as far as that's concerned. Let's say we want to have a blog post titled, how long should a roof last? Do you recommend that we include this post on the lead gen website? Yeah, you certainly can. If so, would you also link to and from the blog post? Yes. Well, I mean, not necessarily. The blog post would be placed within the appropriate category on the site. And then typically it's going to be an internal link from the blog post to the top level page, topic or category page. That makes sense. You don't have to, when I'm talking about doing like location silos for pushing maps, then I do recommend referencing from the top level location landing page, linking down to the supporting location posts, because it's usually going to be posts. And then vice versa from the location posts, linking back up to the top level location landing page that would be served, that those locations would be served by or from, if that makes sense. But for blog posts, it's a little bit different. Blog posts, I usually am just going to link from internally from the post body of the blog post to the top level topic or category page, and make sure that that post is placed within that appropriate category. That's clear. Now you can still do a link from the top level category or topic page down to the post if it makes sense to do so. You certainly can. It won't hurt it, but you don't have to, is what I'm saying. And then especially, like I said, that why I like to do that method is because that's more what I call the bottom up link. Internal linking approach, because then the blog post becomes link building target, and if you build links to the blog post, it's going to flow through that internal contextual link up to the top level page, which is generally the page that you want to rank to generate leads for, right? That's usually the page that has the conversion goal, not usually a blog post, if that's clear. So hopefully that makes sense. How long should a roof last? I would put that in a, whatever the appropriate category is, roof maintenance. By the way, just did an audit for one of our clients or mastermind members who's also a link building client today, and it was in the roofing industry. And I've talked about this many, many times, but roof maintenance is by far the best topic term to use in the roofing industry. I promise you, you don't need a separate page for roof repair, roof replacement, roof installation, roof inspection, roof cleaning. You don't need any of that. One page, roof maintenance. I promise you, you can rank that one page for every single keyword. You reduce all that bloat, all that redundancy on the site, reduce crawl resistance. Thank you, Cecilia. So reduce crawl resistance, all of that. I promise you, that's what these structures are here, guys, that I've been showing you with the Zootrix on all that kind of stuff every single week now for the last several weeks. I've been talking about those ranking results and everything. Again, just follow this kind of format. You want to rank the service page, or excuse me, the location pages, not the service pages. So in this case, we have separate service pages for each of the primary services that all fall under one topic or one category. So it's okay to have separate service pages for each service type. So like I said, when I talked about roof maintenance, roof cleaning, roof inspection, roof repair, you don't need to have different pages for all of that with location modifiers. You can have a separate page that here, let me explain to kind of go back to the question here that would be relevant to this. What I would do is I would have a page, like, for example, if it was a company that was doing roofing, siding, and windows, window installation stuff, right? Which a lot of roofing companies do roofing and siding. But what I would do is I would have a roofing services page on the site, right? That would be, it could just say services. It doesn't, remember, the service page, the top level service page isn't intended to rank. It's the location pages that you want to rank, right? So what I would do is have like a services page that then on that services page, I would reference each of those individual types of services for roofing. Roof repair, roof maintenance, roof installation, roof inspection, roof cleaning, like all the different things that are typically we see a lot of roofing contractors optimize for. You put just a blurb on that services page. So that's like a general services page that just references each one of those services. And then you can have a separate page for each one of those that is optimized for that particular keyword. Like these are keyword, not topic or category optimized pages. These are keyword optimized pages for each individual service. But what I'm trying to rank are the location pages. And I want the location page to rank for all of the search queries associated with this industry, the tree service category, if that's clear. So that's where I'm talking about optimizing the location pages for the top level topic or category term, and then referencing all of the individual services from within that page so that this one page can rank for every single search query. Now, I don't need a separate page for Martinsburg tree removal, Martinsburg tree trimming, Martinsburg tree care, Martinsburg stump removal, like you often see. We don't need that because this one page, Martinsburg tree service or Martinsburg tree maintenance, can rank for every single one of those search queries because of the internal linking and because we've optimized the page that we want to rank for the top level topic or category term, which means Google understands all of the search queries associated with that category or topic, regardless of it, even whether it appears on the page or not. That's clear. So it's kind of the same thing with the blog post, guys. With the blog post, like I said, with blog posts, I'd like to have a longer SEO title that is keyword optimized, not topic or category optimized, because it is supposed to be supporting content to support a top level topic or category, if that makes sense. So we do keyword optimized longer blog post titles placed within the appropriate category and then linking up to the top level topic or category page. If that makes sense. Okay. But you can link down to it as well. Hopefully that answered all the questions. If not, would you suggest that we host the blog posts? You can do external blog posts as well. Just do it on a branded blog. G sites are perfect for that. I just released a new SOP last week for Google Sites for local SEO, and exactly how we build them and how to structure them. Do what I call the theme mirroring, which is a term I got from Network Empire many years ago. But site mirroring, site structure mirroring, using the G site and doing all the internal linking and everything. There's a new SOP in the mastermind that I was just released last week about that. So yeah, G site's perfect for that, by the way. We're going to run out of time if I don't hurry. Matthew says, hypothetically, would creating NAP citations on websites which are geographically not relevant to a GBP create a problem? No, it shouldn't. It's still, do you understand a citation is a mention? It's a published mention. That is precisely what a citation is. It's a published mention. And a citation is still a validation signal, even if it's not relevant, geographically relevant. I mean, think about it, guys. When you get a citation from a business directory, it's not a geographically relevant link. It's not, unless the business directory is a local business directory, then it's geographically relevant. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, like, for example, if you get listed in a local Chamber of Commerce member directory, that is a link with geographic relevance because it's a association, organization, business, institution, etc., that is in the same general physical area. But if you get a name, address, and phone number, a citation, a published mention of the name, address, phone number, and website, usually, right? There's usually the 4 data points, but it doesn't have to have a website. And by the way, it doesn't have to have a hyperlink. It could just be a mention of the URL without it even being linked, and that's still considered a citation. But if you get a citation, a business directory listing on Yelp, does that provide geographic relevance? No. It's still a geographic signal, but it's not a link with geographic relevance unless Yelp headquarters is physically located in close proximity. Does that make sense? But a citation is just a published mention of the business data, business information. And so it's still valuable. Think about press releases. Press releases are great for what we call non-traditional or unstructured citations because you get usually name, address, and phone number that gets picked up and syndicated across hundreds of outlets. And those aren't going to be geographically relevant. Has that ever been an issue? No, it's kind of again, it's just a validation signal for the name, address, and phone number, website, and the brand, the entity information, if that's clear. So no, it won't create a problem. Would it decrease local rankings or build local organic in another location despite the address on the G? Would it decrease local rankings or build local organic in another location despite the address on the GBP? I'm not sure I understand that part of the question, Matthew. I understood the first part, but I don't understand the second, so I'm going to have to move on. If you're here and you can clarify, I'll try to answer that second half. Danny says, what is robots.txt and do you use it? Yes, robots.txt is the directive for the search engine bots to tell, or the bots, period, to tell which bot to allow or disallow bots to crawl pages or areas of the site. Do I use it? Yes, I do. For the most part, most local business sites and stuff, it's going to be just a very basic robots.txt file. But in some projects, especially like when I do audits, I just finished auditing a interesting project 2 or 3 weeks ago now. There's a company that sells like training programs on how to barbecue, from top level barbecue and pit masters and smoke masters or whatever the fuck you call them. From like seriously, and it's so like all these celebrity barbecue chefs or whatever, pit masters and stuff that have their own training programs on this website. So it's like almost like an e-comm and a training site or whatever. And I got asked to audit it. So, one of my clients hired me to audit it. So I audited it for them. And there was a ton of, there was some indexing issues because of, and part of, and what I identified was that the site has a ton of member area pages that were being crawled by Google because there was no robots.txt directive to disallow crawling of those pages, basically telling the bots to go take a hike, go kick rocks. You're not crawling these pages. And so that particular site had a ton of crawl, a lot of indexing issues is what I was trying to say. There's a lot of indexing issues, and it's because Google has limited crawl budget that it assigns to each site. And if crawl budget is being wasted on pages that are behind paywalls, so you have to be logged in, but yet they're in the sitemaps and allowing Google to crawl them, then Google's going to waste a shit ton of crawl budget on pages that will never index because they're set behind paywalls, if that makes sense. And so that's where a robots.txt directive is perfect because you can go in and disallow crawling of pages past a certain directory. So like members, for example, like if it's domain.com/members/ and then whatever the paid pages are, the URL slugs or permalinks, then you could just say disallow all crawling for any pages, members. So members / and then you use the asterisk symbol, and that's a wildcard saying do not allow any crawling of any sub pages of this members directory. That makes sense. And so again, now you restrict the bots from crawling those pages and thus not wasting crawl budget on pages that will never index anyways. Does that make sense? There's a number of reasons to do that. You can also restrict robots.txt from crawling like scripts and things like that. So just a number of things that you can do. If you go look in Search Console and go to settings and you look at crawl errors and crawl reports, I promise you will identify a whole bunch of different pages and resources, URLs, etc., that the Googlebot is trying to crawl, and it's giving errors and things like that. Well, you can go in and improve your technical SEO by just identifying those crawl errors and then setting those directives in the robots.txt to disallow Google from going and crawling those assets that keep, or resources that keep providing those errors, right? So thus, again, reducing crawl resistance, improving technical SEO, and likely improving results. So yes, robots.txt are important, and I do use them. It's a technical SEO thing to help tell Google which parts, or in all bots really, which parts of the site they can and cannot crawl. Okay. Thomas says it is very important that our backlinks pointing to our money sites have traffic going to the is it very important that our backlinks pointing to our money sites have traffic going to the backlinks themselves? It is a validation signal. It can make links more effective, and it can also make links have a longer lasting effect, because there is a known phenomenon known as link atrophy or link decay, which can happen from links that do not get any traffic, and I've talked about this before, but there's kind of the varying degrees at how quickly a link will decay in value or lose its value. Again, this link atrophy. And there it is. Number one, if the link itself gets click activity, so traffic, then that link basically, as long as it receives click activity, it won't lose its value. Then there is a link on a page where the page gets traffic, but the link doesn't get any clicks. That will decay. It will lose value over time, but at a much slower rate than if that link is placed onto a page that doesn't get any traffic. But the domain might get traffic, but the page does not. Then that link will decay faster than a page that than if a page get traffic but the link gets no click. And then if the domain itself doesn't get any traffic, then that link will decay the quickest, because that's the validator, is the traffic signals, if that makes sense. So there are varying rates of decay depending on the traffic and where the traffic is and the engagement activity is actually being done, if that makes sense. But anyway, can a link still provide an effect without any traffic? Yes, it can. I think there is a shelf life to that, though. I do. And so just to be clear, guys, a lot of the links that I sell with semantic links, some of our sites have traffic, some of them don't. And some of them have measurable traffic, some of them have little traffic so that it's not measurable in some of the apps. But a big portion of my sites are integrated with Search Console of various Google accounts, like dozens and dozens of accounts. And so I know that a lot of my sites do actually get traffic, but a lot of them don't. And so I tell even prospects on sales calls for semantic links, I literally, and I swear to God, I say this, like, look, what I found with my own agency is that what I do is build semantic links, so topical and geographically relevant links, through my process. And then once per quarter, I will go out and buy links from like traditional guest post and outreach link type providers, that then the metric that I look for then is traffic. And so I'll go out and I'll spend $100 to $200 on one link for each one of my clients on a quarterly basis. I will go in and buy one or two of these types of outreach links or niche edits on pages that have traffic statistics. And what I found is that if I focus mostly on topical and geographic relevance first and foremost, that I can achieve most of the results. But then if I just once per quarter, depending on the budget for the client, I'll go out and purchase an outreach link or a link that has traffic, where the relevance isn't as important. I'd still try to get a relevant link too, but the relevance isn't important because it's the traffic signal that I'm buying, if that makes sense. And then I inject or point those links to my target assets, my clients' projects. And I do that once per quarter for one or two links, depending on the budget. And what I found is that by buying, because we don't provide those types of links. But what I found is by doing that those links with the traffic help to kind of ignite all of those links with relevance, if that's clear. So that's what I do. I do a mix of both my own links, and then once per quarter, depending on the budget level, we'll buy one or two type of outreach links, whether it's a niche ad or guest post or whatever. But the main metric that I'm looking for there are traffic statistics. I just bought one from QGP. I just spent $200 on a backlink with zero trust flow, zero topical trust flow. You can't have topical trust flow unless it has trust flow value. And I just spent $200 on one link that had zero trust flow, but it had traffic statistics and the page content was relevant to what it was linking to. Same topical category. So I bought it because I wanted the traffic metric. Does that make sense? And that was for Tree Care HQ. I literally just got the notification from QGP yesterday that link was placed. Cost me $200, zero topical trust flow, zero trust flow, period. But it was relevant. Topical content was relevant to what it was linking to, and it had traffic metrics, and that's what I purchased. Hopefully that's clear. So yeah, traffic is a validator, and it can help make links more effective or last longer. The effect lasts longer. Roy says, hey, Bradley, if we had built our website using the preferred site structure, which was to have one service page talking about all the different services so as to avoid Google's cannibalization issue at the time, instead of having individual service pages on our money site, which, by the way, like I said, guys, you can have individual service pages. As long as they're not similarly related, you can still keyword optimize for those pages, like I just showed with this. These are all of these services fall under one topic or category, the tree service category or the tree maintenance topic. All of these fall under that same topic or category, straight up. But I have separate pages optimized for each individual service because I don't care about these pages ranking. I care about the service page ranking, or excuse me, location page ranking. So that's where you optimize for the topic or the category term so that one page can rank for any of the search queries associated with that topic or category. It's okay to have separate keyword optimized service pages for each individual service. What you don't want is I wouldn't want to have a tree removal and a tree felling page, or a tree trimming and a tree pruning page. Those are synonymous terms. Does that make sense? Those would cannibalize each other, or likely cannibalize each other. But having one for tree removal, one for tree trimming, one for tree care, one for stump removal, I could have one for land clearing, arborist consulting, etc. But I actually placed arborist consulting under tree care, so it's a subtopic of tree care, if that makes sense. So that's all I'm saying. You can have separate individual service pages. It's the location pages that you want to rank. Those are the ones that you want to optimize for the top level topic or category term so that it can rank for all of the search queries without having to have, like I said, tree removal Martinsburg, tree trimming Martinsburg, tree care Martinsburg. I don't have to have all those stupid pages where I'm saying the same thing. Remember, guys, if I got 5 service areas or locations and 4 services, I'd have to have 20 separate pages if I was going to do it the traditional way. Now I've got 4 service pages and 5 service or location pages, excuse me. So 9 pages versus 20, right? Less content, less bloat, less crawl resistance, etc. Now that the preferred site structure has changed again, should we change our site structure again to reflect the latest preferred, or would you say it is better to leave the old site structure? No, just leave the old site structure. Like I said, what you want to focus on mainly is making sure you don't have potentially competing pages. So if you have 2 similar services with separate pages, combine those, consolidate them. And then optimize your location pages for the top level topic or category term, and then reference each of the services in that page like you see here. And that's how you can rank the location pages, right? Without having to have duplicated, redundant content for the same Martinsburg, like 5 different pages for Martinsburg. You only need 1. That's clear. All right. Yeah, leave the old site structure. I would just optimize, like I said, make sure there's no cannibalization, and then optimize the location pages. All right, moving on. Orlando, we got a handful more, about 5 minutes, guys. We'll try to wrap up. We ordered backlinks from Semantic links, but we realized that the backlinks have minimal to no traffic going to them, even though the links are topically or geographically relevant. We heard that backlinks with traffic going to them are better and more powerful. Are you guys able to add traffic to the backlinks you guys provide? No, we did that for a long time, Orlando, and you're right. I just finished talking about that. For a long time, we were running CTR booster traffic through our tier 1 links, but that once my network got to the point, I own about 1,600, almost 1,700 blogs now. No shit. It became unsustainable, unmanageable. Let's put it that way. So no, and we're not going to do that for you, but you can. You've got your links. We report all of the links We give them to you, and we're 100% transparent about everything that we do at Semantic Links, guys. 100% transparent. So you get absolutely every link that gets placed. So if you want to run traffic through your links, by all means do it. Yes, it will help. Absolutely, it will help. So by all means, you're welcome to run traffic through your own links, Orlando. You can do that through, there's a number of CTR manipulation apps that you can use for that. By all means, feel free to do so. It will make the links more powerful. But as I just described in an earlier question, links without traffic will still provide value. There's no question. And what I do is what I just described. I focus for my own agency clients mostly on semantic links, which are topical and geographically relevant links. And then once per quarter, we will add in the links with traffic, 1 or 2, depending on the budget level for that particular client. And what I found is that helps to ignite kind of all that relevance. It just makes everything perform better. That's what I do. Okay. Moving on. Follow-up questions. If we were to find topically or geographically relevant backlink sources with traffic ourselves, how should we go about sussing them out? We'll just do normal kind of traditional outreach methods. Like we don't do those kind of methods at Semantic Links because it's very difficult to scale. But you can certainly reach out to the site owners and ask if you can place a link, right? Or write content for them or whatever. There's a number of, I don't know about you guys, but I get a ton of emails from link builders that are asking to publish posts on client sites of mine or lead gen sites of mine. No kidding. Hey, literally, I get outreach all the time because of all the sites that I manage, that people asking if they can publish content, do a guest pub post on our blog because it's relevant, and that way they get a link, etc. We'll provide the content if you publish it, blah blah blah. And you can offer to sell those links too, by the way. But yeah, that's you. You could reach out to them and just ask. That's what most people do. Dylan says, follow-up question. No, I must have picked on the wrong one. Dylan says, what's your opinion on CTR manipulation? Do you use it yourself? Not nearly as much as I used to for just straight up CTR manipulation, because I found that it's becoming less effective just because Google is getting better at identifying validated traffic versus non-validated traffic. Validated traffic is traffic from Google, known Google users, or verifiable real people, which is why I recommend using Google Ads, display ads, or YouTube ads for generating CTR signals, because that's validated traffic. You're literally buying traffic from Google users. It works much better. Or if you have an advanced kind of CTR app, like what we do with Local Fury, which is to build profiles that have that are assigned to Android apps Android phones, Android operating systems, that mimic as if they're real people and all of that. That's very difficult to manage. It's been incredibly challenging, but that is a heavier weighted kind of traffic signal, a more validated traffic signal than just some random bots. CTR manipulation with just random bot traffic can still work, but I found it as becoming less and less effective in my own testing. I still use it a lot. I use SERP Empire for that, by the way, just branded search and clicks and then keyword search and clicks, both in organic and maps. I use SERP Empire for that, but if I'm going to be doing some targeted, like most of the companies I work for I do SEO for my own local SEO agency, are service area businesses. So we don't get driving signals anyways for those. And so I wouldn't apply something like Local Fury to those, just because I found that the driving signals is one of the biggest kind of results, or one of the things that influences results from CTR manipulation is the driving signal. That's one of the best signals. And so for service area business, it doesn't make sense to do that. It would be an unnatural signal. So I don't like to do that. So I use SERP Empire for a lot of that stuff, which integrates with Search Console. And I just do it because it's another piece of the overall ranking pie, so to speak. It's another slice of the overall ranking pie. So I like to add that in there. But if I'm doing a storefront business, if I'm doing SEO work for a storefront business, then absolutely setting up CTR, but preferably with validated traffic signals and driving. Or again, Local Fury is good for that, really good for that. Then that's something that will work very well, if that makes sense. There are certainly CTR apps that. The problem I don't like with most CTR apps, guys, is unless they have an algorithm that kind of determines the volume of signals and all of that based upon, which SERP Empire does. It's not fantastic. It works. Like I said, it's just a sliver of the overall ranking pie. So I do add that to a lot. But where I see the most CTR apps are, the problem with a lot of them is they're either too aggressive, or they leave it up to you to determine what the appropriate recipe is of signals, keywords, brand search, brand signals, all of that. And most SEOs way overdo it. I mean, literally, and most SEOs way overdo it, and that sends an unnatural signal that can flag that location for Google to ignore real organic signals. And so what I always recommend with CTR is that you go incredibly conservative and you focus almost exclusively on branded searches first, excuse me. And that's kind of what we do at Local Fury. We're real careful about that for a longer term strategy. Excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat, guys. We got to go. It's 5 after 5. I'm going to give 6 more minutes, guys. At 10 after 5, I'm done, even if I don't get through the questions. So
we got
I'll try to hurry.
one question on the page too we should get to, but I think you can give a quick answer to it after these.
All right. What exactly are custom rebuilds? That's just a single HTML website that's hosted on a cloud host, but published onto a domain that we hunt down that already has relevance in this specific topical category that we need it for. Hopefully that's clear. So in other words, if somebody submits a location or a project and we don't have the sufficient number of blogs that are in the appropriate topical categories for that project, then we will go out and hunt down domains that are relevant to that topic that already have backlinks in the appropriate topical trust flow categories as well. And then we will purchase that domain and we will publish a single page article, a single page website with a article that's tuned and optimized to match the same topical categories of what it's linking to. And that way we can focus all of that link equity and relevance through the external links to only one asset. That's what I call a custom rebuild. Moving on. Eric says, I'm interested in using Kraken CTR tool for e-comm websites, ranking in YouTube with brand searches and tier 2 link clicks. However, I'm not sure I want to pay full price for the tool to try out for a couple of months. Are there any agencies or freelancers who would run a campaign for me? I don't know. It's a good question, Eric. If you're in Michael Bowe's groups, he's got a free group and a paid group. Why don't you just ask in his group, right? Because those are all Kraken users. So just, Eric, I don't know of anybody that does that, but I have never asked. So what I would do is just go into his group and ask, is there anybody here that would mind running a campaign for me so I can test it? And I'm sure you can get somebody that would be willing to do that for you and you can test it out, right? That's what I would do. Next is David. What are your plans for your rebuilds given the March 2024 core update? I don't know. What is the March 2024 core update, David? You guys, I've said this many times before, guys. I don't follow all of the Google updates because they're never fucking ending, right? Google updates, it's never ending. It's this one update after another, and I don't have the time or the desire to follow all of them. All I look for is, are my clients receiving some sort of negative? Is something negative occurring on my clients' projects? That's it. And if I start to see it, then I start investigating. But there are so many damn updates that roll out one after the other after the other. I don't know how anybody has time to keep up with all that shit. And I don't like to speculate about any of it. Unless it produces some sort of a negative effect that I can clearly identify, I ignore all of it. Just to be clear, guys, because I don't have the time or the desire to get involved in all of that. And David, I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying I don't even know what the March 2024 core update is yet. Okay. So I can't answer that question. Would a single location physical services rendered at the site, actual location only, such as the hair salon, business that wants to attract clients from other clients benefit from your tree service template? No, I mean, I don't know. To be honest, I've not applied that. That's a great question, David. I've not applied that site template to a storefront business. I don't know that it's probably overkill. I don't work with storefront businesses. I have link building clients with storefront businesses, but for my own local SEO agency where we do site builds and manage clients' websites, we do service area businesses. And I've been working with service area businesses almost my entire SEO career. So I don't know if that site template would be as effective for a storefront business or not. I assume it would be because but remember, the way it's set up is to expand coverage across a larger geographical area. That's the whole point of that build. It may very well be just as, I mean, look, the structure is sound, period. So it might very well work good for a storefront business, but I don't have any firsthand experience with that because I don't work with storefront businesses. Hopefully that's clear. All right. But definitely it's worth trying. Hey, look, David, if it's David Victor, who I think that's who it is, you're in our mastermind, man. You have the templates. I don't know if you use high level, but if you do, the high level templates super easy to deploy. You just fill out the forms or 7 forms, and you fill out each form, and then it deploys the whole site. If it's the WordPress template, it requires, hosting, and you can install a clone file and all that, but you could do it. There's an SOP for the WordPress template. So you could test that by assigning it to a VA or something, and then, you know, build it out for a storefront business and see how it performs. I certainly don't have the bandwidth to do that for you, nor will I, just because I don't work with storefront businesses. But it's certainly worth testing, I would say. All right, what's the question that I have to answer on here?
I am pulling it up right now. It was Job Killing was asking, can you please explain what an ID page is? And then he was asking about what the DHA is, and I just pointed him in the direction of last week's Hump Day Hangouts because we talked about it at the beginning. So basically just a quick what is an ID page?
All right, well, look, guys, just because I've answered this very thoroughly several times and even recently, I'm just going to go to our YouTube channel and just show you how to find it. So I'm just going to go to YouTube. Oh, sorry, I just wanted to change channels. Give me a second. Let me get to the proper account and I'll show you what to do.
Man, I almost freaked out. I saw channel analytics and I thought that was semantic mastery. I was like, oh my God, we lost 10,000 subscribers.
Anyway, what I was going to say was, sorry, I didn't even need to do that. Let me just go to you. Let's just go to the channel. But if you just go to youtube.com, semantic mastery, and let's just go to my channel right here. Then you go to the channel search feature right there and just search what is an ID page. The first video that comes up is what are ID pages and how do you use them for SEO? And it's 12 minutes long, describing exactly the answer to that question. So again, it's there, guys. I would encourage you to go watch that. Use the channel search feature. I'm not picking on the job killer. I'm just saying I'm not going to, we're already over time. There, right there is the very thorough answer that will answer that question. Any other questions?
I think we're good to go.
Okay. Appreciate you guys.